Hello, welcome to the channel. Been a little while, but I have long COVID. That's as good as excuse as any. But despite all my previous videos, I sort of had an attack of gas. I needed some therapy shopping, so I actually bought the 200-800 RF lens.
If you are confused by a sudden loss of lip sync, I'm using a previous leader to try and generate feedback. Now, everyone familiar with YouTube knows about likes, subscribing and everything else, so let's see if I can get a decent number of views with a bird video. This is mainly to stress how good the Canon RF 200-800 is. Let's go. This was meant to be about the RF 200-800 lens until it snowed. Obviously, the moment I saw all the white stuff, I was out with a camera. Only in heavy snow, the light isn't exactly great. To have any hope of stopping wing movement in small birds, you should be thinking about 1/2000th of a second at a minimum. Not at f9 though. So the RF lens stayed in the dark and I chose the Sigma 150-600 contemporary. Even so, I hit 12,800 ISO frequently. None of these images have been sharpened, just cropped and maybe tweaked, and I apologise for distorting the squirrel. I was sitting in a Woodland car park, shooting through an open window. You can see how heavy the snowfall was, and unfortunately the rear element began to fog due to the cold. Although it is easy to remove in post with auto tone or auto contrast, after a while I had to dry out the internals of the car heater. By the squirrel in the log, it was getting a little tricky to see what I was doing. I realise you don't get the best resolution using Movie Maker at YouTube quality, but all images are equal. Maybe some are more equal than others. An earlier video was entitled In Praise of the Sigma 150-600 because it is a very good lens, only as suggested by my title, gear acquisition syndrome, sometimes known as compulsory comfort shopping, drove me to get a native zoom for my Canon R5. I recently posted a video where I tested the lens kitesurfing in Spain and I was really happy with the results. Only at the moment, it's snowing. I switched to the Canon EF 100-400 L2 as a comparison, as I'm happy with either lens. I've put the 1.4 extender on the Sigma to get to 840, and even the ×2 extender, I nearly said a converter then, not a lot of difference, on the 100-400 to reach 800. And even pixel peeping, it is almost impossible to tell the difference. I tend to use the R6 for video. Using the Sigma, you sometimes have a problem with hunting, visible on the clips. I have yet to try the RF lens on small birds. It's a phenomenon called UK weather syndrome. I have yet to work out how to view metadata. Videos I've recorded on the R6 or the R5. The Canon utility I have only accepts DSLR movies, so I haven't got around that problem yet. Anyway, as the images get into the 200-800 series, I feel the sharpness just shrieks. To be fair, the lighting conditions are better, but they are seriously good. I have popped in files using the previously mentioned options, and in my opinion, if I created a blind test, I would struggle to choose between them. I did borrow an RF 1.4 extender for half an hour, but the clouds rolled over almost on cue, and I didn't do a fair test. I felt there was a slight drop in image quality, but that could have been to the increased ISO. I know people say that you can use a 2x extender with the 200-800, but at f18 I would probably find few occasions to use it, especially in the UK. Now, the hard facts as I see them. If you already have the EF 100-400L2 and a 2x extender, you will not see much difference in image quality, though you could have a 1600mm f/19. Wow! When the sun shines, all is right with the world. When you are struggling with bad light, it might not be image degradation due to high ISO that is the biggest problem, as mirrorless cameras invariably use contrast detection for autofocus. As it grows dark, the lens likes to hunt. Ideally, you need an f4 lens. Only as a retired professional on a feeble pension, it has insanity written all over it. I actually do have a 400mm f2.8. I bought it in 1995, second hand. Anyway, it's far too heavy. Light is vital for photography in many ways. An f2.8 will focus almost instantly. I think the phrase you need is, you pays your money, you takes your choice. Luckily, using the adapter, EF lenses are almost seamless. And looking at the second-hand market, seriously good value. The biggest stumbling block with RF lenses is the price and lack of good third-party options. The two biggest stumbling blocks are, yet again. As I have a house in Spain, also on YouTube, I tend to be influenced by archaic humour. I mentioned that I have been a professional photographer, 50 years of it, and I did a lot of motorsport. Only wandering into wildlife for relaxation. Oh, those were the days. Between 2000 and 2010, I was using a 1D, 4 megapixel, and a 1DS, which is 10 megapixels, and a 7D, later on to the 7D2, which is 20, I think, purely for the extra reach I needed. I upgraded to the 7D for the GPS. When I saw how good the 5D Mark III was, I upgraded again. The thing is, most of the time you don't need shed loads of megapixels. If you tend to view your images digitally or post on social media, 60 megapixel is overkill, apart from the fact your lens is probably only managing to resolve 20 megapixels. I like the R5 because it allows me to crop. I recently took a photograph of a wren using the 200-800. When cropped, it worked out to a 2000mm equivalent. On an R6, that might not be so many pixels. The 7D2 files were pretty useless for a club competition until I discovered Topaz denoise. I sometimes use Topaz AI sharpen, only I don't think it's that good. And it can introduce serious artifacts. Maybe the latest version is a little better. I just don't want to fork out the money.